we go. So thank you so much for having us here. We're going to tell you a little bit about a campaign that we ran last year that launched around May of last year in New York City, and we called it the Cookie Caravan. And caravan comes from a play on words based on our care culture. We have this culture that has been embedded in our hotels ever since, from the moment they open, and it's all about creating a rewarding experience for our guests. So based on iconic branding, it's all about the cookie for us. We had just gone through this massive rebrand. We had added the by Hilton line to our name. We knew that a lot of people did not associate our brand with Hilton Worldwide and with the Hilton Honors loyalty program. So we did the rebrand. We launched all of this in February of 2011. But we kept the cookie the same. We just changed a little bit of the packaging. Hopefully, all of you are enjoying that cookie. And that's what a lot of our customers recognized us for. A lot of people might not even know what DoubleTree is all about, but they know about that hotel that welcomes you with that warm chocolate chip cookie. So we took that as our icon, and we decided that we had to do something that would allow us to go on the road and really share that cookie with the millions of people that interact with us and interact with our hotels and that travel on a regular basis.
Yes, and as their social media agency, our job is to humanize the DoubleTree by Hilton brand and find ways for guests to connect with the brand, which can be fairly difficult to do, but with something like the cookie, this tool is a vehicle to make that connection. We work with a lot of different celebrities at our agency, and it's much more easy to humanize an individual, but when it comes to a company that has 250 properties across the world, all of which are different, this icon has become the avatar, it's become the face of the brand, and it really stands for what they deliver the first moment that you arrive at the hotel.
So we knew that food trucks were all the craze. Everybody was talking about food trucks. You saw them on Twitter. Everybody that was in major metropolitan areas, New York City, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., everybody was following the food trucks, when they were going to be parked outside their office. So we thought this is a great way for us to take the cookie on the road. So we decided on 50 cities that best targeted our key demographic that had our target traveler, as well as a high density of our hotels. And we decided to do this all in 2 months, which was a little crazy, and it required a lot of long days in summer heat, in the back of a truck delivering warm cookies. But it just allowed us to deliver thousands and thousands of cookies and take that message on the road.
And we took the message on the road. We also told the story virtually via all social channels, an integrated social campaign. That's when the virtual world bridged with the physical world really makes an impact in both places. So 360, we're telling the stories of what's going on, where we're going next. The actual vehicle itself had social touch points, so we had people tweeting from the road. You might remember a couple of years ago when the food truck kind of craze happened with Twitter, and we'd have these food trucks that would pop up, and the only way you could find out where they were was if you were following them on Twitter. Similar thing here, part of our routes and our journey was dictated by social media. We would have huge corporations tweet or even reach out via Facebook and say, hey, can the cookie truck stop here? The other thing, given the ability to bridge the virtual world and the physical world like that, we went through a couple of brainstorming ideas before we arrived at the cookie. We're kind of known for that hide and tweet type of concept, or those flash mobs. And at first we were talking about doing this, maybe in the airports during busy travel or holiday time frames, which can be difficult to create flash mobs at airports, logistical issues. But the vehicle itself turned out to be the perfect tool for also driving the social conversation.
So many of you hopefully can relate to a slide like this. We have a pretty small team at our brand, but yet we work with so many different agencies. So that was probably one of our first challenges, was bringing everybody to the table and telling them, this is what we want to do. Now, can you help us make this happen? So Digital Royalty was tasked with bringing to life the social media platforms and ensuring that everybody that interacted with us on Facebook or on Twitter knew a little bit about what the Cookie Caravan stood for. And there was just creating that partnership and ensuring that all the agencies knew that they had to partner with each other, that they had to work together, because not just the team at corporate or not just a team at a hotel or one single agency could actually make this program happen.
Absolutely, and one really unique thing about DoubleTree by Hilton is quarterly we get together, all the agencies get together in our agency meetings, and they've really set the tone for us to work together even when they're not present. And specifically with social media, that is crucial because as most of you have probably experienced on one side of the fence or the other, social is obviously a new space, and it's a bit of a land grab. There's new revenue being generated. There are new opportunities for individuals personally. And so when all these agencies get around a table, at times there could be healthy tension as to where does this space and who gets to make these decisions, where does that reside. With DoubleTree, we've set the stage. Everybody stays in their own swim lane to a certain extent, but it's all hands on deck with social because we need our PR agency, we need the digital, the agency of record, the creative. And so it's worked really well to have this collaborative process. Even from a PR standpoint, we're generating social PR throughout the tour. So reaching out to media outlets and journalists that are covering the story because we've reached out to them via social channels like Twitter or other channels.
One of the exciting pieces about that collaboration came, for example, from creating the wrap for the truck and ensuring that Digital Royalty was working with Gensler, who was our design agency for the truck, and ensuring that all the different social media touch points were presented in the right way, in the appropriate format. Or working, for example, with our partnerships team because we had this huge deal with Virgin America and ensuring that our social communication mentioning Virgin America met all the right guidelines, the right standards, and also just ensuring that then their mentions also included all our guidelines. Same thing happened with OMD. We work with the Food Network and we sponsored the Great Food Truck Race, and there was also a level of social integration happening there. So it was working with partners, working with the agencies, working with the internal teams, which also comes in when you have 10 different brands working under the Hilton Worldwide umbrella and ensuring that you're following all those different lines of communication, all those different standards and processes that take place. Another thing that played a huge role in this campaign was the integration of our local teams. We have more than 280 hotels, and within the United States, we have about 220 or so. And as I mentioned, the care culture piece was a huge part of the integration of this campaign. So we needed to get our local team members involved. We needed to get them to come out and help us. We needed for them to come out and deliver some of those cookies, hand them out to the people on the streets. And we were so lucky to get more than 125 of our hotels to participate. More than 1,000 team members came out, volunteered their time to spend the day working with us on the truck. And that was one of the big pieces of the communication with our customers. Getting those hotels really involved. They live our culture. They're the ones welcoming you as guests when you check in. They're the ones, working in the housekeeping department, ensuring that the rooms are clean for you every day. And getting them to experience a little bit more of the brand and getting them out of the comforts of the walls of the hotel really allowed them to experience what the guests had to say. Hearing from that Honors Diamond member that say, I always stay with you guys, or I always look forward to the cookie, just elevated the campaign even more. And then those same team members were also using their own social streams to bring this to life in their city.
Yes, absolutely. And social media works so well when it's localized. Yet we have, of course, the umbrella brand of DoubleTree by Hilton, and then the enterprise, even bigger umbrella brand of Hilton worldwide. So as we take these layers of social, often I'm asked, well, how do we manage all of these different accounts? We have 250 hotels. We have DoubleTree by Hilton. We have Hilton worldwide. And this was a way to start to connect those two, to show the value to the guest or a potential guest that we're about to deliver, because it's all about delivering that value when, where, and how they want to receive it. They don't care that we have a lot of accounts, and they just want to make sure that we're listening and we're relevant to them. You might notice the individual here in the window. That's actually the CMO, John. He was present during portions of the tour. We're talking full boots on the ground. Social media has been a cultural embraced shift within all of DoubleTree by Hilton. Even John and other individuals from the executive team do tweet on behalf of the company as themselves. So as a guest, you can reach out to the EVP, you can tweet the CMO. It's really important point because so many people within leadership do say they support social and they do want to be progressive with social media in general, yet they don't want to be the face of the brand and they don't actually want to humanize their brand. So it's kind of a differentiating factor. The other thing is it was so important to have the individuals who really do live and breathe the brand actually activating versus outsourcing to a third party that doesn't understand the speak, that doesn't understand how to communicate.
So when it came down to figuring out, okay, where is all of this going to live? Our website, unfortunately, is a little bit old and going through a lot of refresh process right now, and it didn't allow us the flexibility that we wanted to have for the campaign. It didn't really allow us to show all the different points where the truck was going to be and being able to update it very timely. So we sat down with Digital Royalty and we said, okay, we know that we want to drive people to Facebook. We know that we want to grow that community. We want to grow the engagement with that community. How about we build the entire experience within Facebook? And this is basically what we call the tour hub. So the cookie caravan lived every single day on Facebook, and the location was delivered via Facebook. There was a sweepstakes that was tied to it, and that was all done via Facebook. We received more than 10,000 entries, more than 10,000 registries, and all of those also had to be Hilton Honors members, which also delivered on a huge priority for us of engaging with that community and ensuring that they knew that they could earn points at our brand, just like they could at a regular Hilton property.
Yeah, so this completely resided within Facebook. As Diana mentioned, there was no drive back to the website. We were literally just getting into the pathways of our own fans and new fans. The engagement was brought through the interactive map as well as the storytelling, real-time content of what was happening on the road and also what people were saying with Twitter feeds, YouTube videos. There was a social transaction component where we did acquire data and ask for that information for the sweeps as part of the loyalty program. And really, if you think about it, if you were to go out and build this as a microsite or as something that was a standalone, that would be much more expensive than an iframe build out within Facebook, but it really was a fully functioning touch point and destination for the campaign to reside online, and everything, of course, was countable and trackable with not only Facebook Insights, but we had additional tools.
And it's important for me to note that there was no real paid media behind this campaign. We try to do it all mainly from a PR perspective as well as from a social perspective. And as we mentioned, the local team. So we have this program called our Socialite program, where we identify those key individuals at our properties that are really passionate about social and about taking care of our guests through those channels. So we use them, we created that small group, we really empower them to share information about the caravan. We also came up with this really cool thing called the Sweet Break Spots, which was not in the original plans for the campaign, and it actually developed as we got to our third stop, I believe it was. And it was about the people that could not actually make their way down to where the truck was parked, and they still wanted a cookie. So they started tweeting at their offices that they wanted a sweet break, that they wanted the cookie truck to come to their office. Once we shut down at the main stop, we would be able to come by their office and deliver about 200 cookies or so per workplace. It was pretty cool to get, the aquarium, the Georgia Aquarium in Atlanta, Disney in Orlando also tweeted it. We got the AP office in Washington, D.C. We also had National Geographic. We did Virgin America in San Francisco. A lot of major brands that actually used the individuals within their office and started tweeting us to bring some cookies to their place and deliver them that little sweet break.
So the numbers.
Pretty exciting from our perspective. Over 270,000 cookies were delivered, and we had more than 2 billion impressions in media. Obviously, a lot of those numbers is what we use in regards to press impressions and articles written and visitors, but overall, some pretty exciting facts.
Yeah, definitely saw a lift on Facebook in terms of likes, but specifically every month we do have a dashboard that we report our numbers for DoubleTree, and we have an ROI score, return on influence, and this takes into account both warm and cold metrics. So your reach, your frequency type metrics for social fans, followers, that volume, and also engagement. And we're talking about the replies, the likes, the comments back, the retweets, and sentiment. And so we take both of those sides of the equation and blend them together through a formula that we created. And that gives us an indication as to if our influence is growing. And we have noticed that when influence grows, revenue per available fan and follower also does grow. So we saw a 32% increase in that ROI score, and it just lends to the fact that, yes, we have those black and white cold metrics taken care of, but what does that mean? And the engagement is also following. Those aren't hollow new fans and followers. They're actually doing something.
And the campaign, from our perspective, was extremely successful. We had a great year last year for our hotels, and because of that, right now we're working on something that will be a little bit similar to it. As it won't be a truck, and it won't be all about cookies, but it has been now underway, and I think based on the learnings that we have from our agency partners and based on the learnings that we've gotten even from our own social media platforms, we've been listening a lot to what our guests want, those little things that can make their travel experience a little bit better and a little bit more enjoyable and allow us to deliver that rewarding experience. So stay tuned, there will be something coming out in April.
We look forward to it. Thank you. Mary Jo and Diana, that was excellent.